Welcome to CBD 101. In this episode, I cover the truth about CBD and rheumatoid arthritis. Can CBD help with RA? If we are meeting for the first time, my name is Al Morenton. I'm the host of the CBD 101 series, and I'm an expert in pain management. If you or someone you love suffers from RA, then I highly recommend you watch this video. I'll go over what is RA, what are the causes of RA, what are the symptoms of RA, how CBD works with RA, okay? And then I'll also go over a couple of case studies as well, just for some clarity. Okay, so rheumatoid arthritis, it's basically an autoimmune disorder, and basically your immune system attacks your joints. Basically, you have a lining, it's called the synovium or synovial lining that surrounds your joints. Your synovial fluid is housed in there, and that's what lubricates your joints and prevents wear and tear, etc. So your nervous system or your immune system basically attacks that, and it gets inflamed, and then that's where the problems occur. So it's different than osteoarthritis, where there's like a wear and tear that happens first, and then the arthritis happens afterwards. With RA, there's a supposed autoimmune response, then inflammation occurs, the arthritis happens, and then the wear and tear happens afterwards. So it's sort of an opposite, like, chain of events, but the outcomes are similar. Okay, so I just wanted to give you that for clarity. The symptoms of RA are pain, stiffness, or swelling in multiple joints. Okay, so with osteoarthritis, again, it's going to be your hip, your shoulder, etc. With RA, with rheumatoid arthritis, it's going to be multiple joints. So instead of just your finger, it's your whole hand, or your whole hand and your wrist, all of the joints in there. Okay, so it's also symmetrical, so it'll often happen on both sides, so like both hands or both feet, etc. Weakness will occur, and that's basically due to a loss of motor function, the nervous function. Okay, so an example of that would be just where you're hanging out with your friends, holding a water bottle, and all of a sudden the water bottle drops out, onto the floor, and you wonder, like, why did that happen? And it's because you're losing motor function, and there's a weakness that is starting to occur there. And then when you get towards, the more end stages of it, deformity starts to happen, and you see that a lot with people that have it in their hands. They'll almost look crippled, and they can't even open their hands up all the way. Motor function's gone, and then when it's getting really bad, you'll start to see little bumps that start to form, and that's calcification and crystallization that is forming there, and it's actually visible to the eye. The literal calcium deposits. Okay. So common areas that it happens in is your hands, your wrists, and your feet. And the causes of rheumatoid arthritis, they basically, the medical establishment says it's of unknown origin. They don't know exactly why it happens. Usually when they say that, they'll say it's a genetic disorder, it's an autoimmune disorder, and it's also triggered by environment. So like by some kind of incident, maybe a traumatic experience, like losing a loved one. They even say that it could be from bacteria or virus, etc. But they're pretty much just guessing at that point. But in reality, just like most other things, it's been found to be a result of nutritional deficiency, and that nutritional deficiency causes imbalances, and those imbalances cause the symptoms to occur. Okay, so what can take care of these nutritional deficiencies, to take care of these imbalances, to correct those? Okay, so we have a list of a few different supplements to help with that. On top here, you see CBD, CBD or other cannabinoids. We use our full spectrum that has the whole plethora of it. But the CBD is basically the most essential of the ones I'm going to mention. So in other words, if you have the CBD and you don't have these other cofactors, then you can get amazing results. If you take away the CBD and just use the cofactors, then you'll get minimal results at best. Okay, so you might get a little bit, but just a little bit. If you combine the two, then the results can be literally life-changing. Okay, so CBD, like, why does it help? It's basically responsible for homeostasis, which means it provides balance to all the other systems in your body. Okay, so it's very, very important for providing that balance. So, we said that the rheumatoid arthritis is caused by imbalances. This helps to balance out the systems so they can function properly, and it'll correct any symptoms that may be occurring. Okay, it's also been shown in many studies to be anti-inflammatory and have pain-relieving effects. Those are two major symptoms of rheumatoid arthritis, and it helps those directly. Okay. So there's also two other things that are very important. They're called gene expression and neuromodulation. Okay, so CBD and vitamin D to some degree help with gene expression, and that basically means that it provides your cells the instructions it needs to perform specific tasks. Okay, so each cell has your DNA in it, and it has all your DNA, and each cell has a specific task or specific tasks that it needs to perform. So your CBD, through this process called gene expression, goes into that vast amount of information of all of your DNA and picks out the instructions for that particular cell and gives it to the cell so it can perform those tasks. Now, neuromodulation is one of those tasks, and it basically normalizes or modulates your nervous tissue function so everything flows properly. There's an upregulation and a downregulation of this nervous tissue function from your brain to your central nervous system to your peripheral nervous system, and then back up from your peripheral to your central to your brain. And if there's any kind of a traffic jam or roadblock along the way where it doesn't flow freely and smoothly, then problems will occur and symptoms will occur. Okay, so very, very important processes that CBD helps with, and there's many of them. So that's why it's so, so important. So CBD, along with vitamin D, with people that have autoimmune disorders, they have found that people that have autoimmune disorders are severely deficient in vitamin D3 as well as CBD. They're deficient in cannabinoids, they're deficient in vitamin D3 to the point where if you just give a normal amount of vitamin D3 and even CBD to the person, then they might not uptake it properly, right? Because the systems have been shut down and they need to be stimulated by macro dosing, giving it like a full frontal assault of vitamin D3 and CBD. So giving it like more than you would normally need, much more usually for a certain period of time until that system gets activated again and you're able to absorb and utilize it properly the way your body's supposed to. Then you could bring it down into a maintenance dose and then keep those results, okay? So vitamin D3, very, very important. It has to do with gene expression. It has to do with many, many things. It's very, very, very beneficial vitamin. It's actually a hormone, but they call it a vitamin. K2 is very, very important. Vitamin K2 is important to take with the D3. And K2 is just important, period, because it basically takes calcium and it goes and finds calcium that's deposited in places in your body that it's not supposed to be, and carries them over, transports them over to the places where it should be. So the calcium deposits that form in the joints, like in the hands and wrists and stuff like that, it'll actually help to break that stuff down. The CBD helps to break down that calcification and crystallization. The K2 will carry the calcium to the places that it needs to be, like your bones, your teeth, and there's all calcium channels inside of cells and stuff that that need it as well. So it'll take it to those places. the K2 will take the calcium to those places that it needs to be and remove it from places that it doesn't need to be. So very, very important with rheumatoid arthritis and autoimmune diseases. Omega-3 is also very important. Omega-6 and omega-3. Omega-3 has anti-inflammatory properties. Omega-6 has pro-inflammatory properties, and you need both, but the standard American diet is super high in omega-6 and super low in omega-3. So super high in pro-inflammatory properties and super low in anti-inflammatory properties. Okay, so you need to boost your omega-3 up and actually lower your omega-6 to get that proper balance, so there's no more imbalance, and then there's a steady flow. It's almost like that nervous function going, up regulation and down regulation. There has to be an even flow. So with the omega-3 and omega-6, there has to be a balance of anti-inflammatory and pro-inflammatory, substances. So the omega-3, it needs to be in a 1:1 to 1:4 ratio with the omega-6, and that is done through omega-3 supplementation with DHA and EPA type of omega-3, and also altering your diet so it's lower in omega-6. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. See how important supplementation is and nutrition, proper nutrition is for rheumatoid arthritis, preventing it from happening, helping people to overcome symptoms, and then manage that so they don't come back. So let's go over a couple case studies of people that have actually done this, okay? And by the way, it's not hard. It's you already eat and you most likely already take some kind of supplements or medication or something. So you're just doing the same thing. You're just doing different stuff, okay? But this first one was the first person that we had way back about 5-6 years ago with a woman in Orange County. She came to me through her daughter. Her daughter was super skeptical about CBD, but her husband just encouraged her to try it. And she did, and she had amazing results and got her mom to take it as well. Her mom had hardcore rheumatoid arthritis, had stress, depression, but that's usually because of the rheumatoid arthritis, because it just sucks to have it, right? So she had it really bad to where she couldn't open up her hands and all this. She was taking an omega-3 supplement. It was this these mussels, these green mussels that are harvested off the south side of New Zealand, and they had the special properties or whatever. And they helped her a tiny bit, like nothing really helped at all. And that helped a tiny bit. But it's like, there's a limited supply of that stuff, right? So like, I don't like to use things where there's limited supply. Plus it only worked a little bit, right? You want something that actually helps you to overcome and manage the conditions. So her son-in-law told her to come off of the omega-3 and, for a month, and we're going to put her on the CBD to see how it affects the rheumatoid arthritis. After 3 days of being off with the omega-3, the hardcore symptoms came back, the hardcore pain, the hardcore crippling effects of the rheumatoid arthritis kicked in, and she said, hey, either put me on the CBD or put me on the omega-3, put me on something. I'm not going to go 30 days like this. I can't, okay? So we put her on CBD supplementation. Like just 2 weeks later, I see her at an event. I was doing an event at her son-in-law's store, right? He had a medical supply store I was doing an event at, and she was there. She came just to meet me in person and thank me for the CBD. And she she's a beautiful woman, like in her mid to late 50s at that point, about 5 or 6 years ago, and her hands looked fine, right? And everything, and you couldn't believe that she had rheumatoid arthritis before, like just 2 weeks ago, right? And she was saying, hey, this stuff is amazing and blah, blah, blah. It was just, she gave me a really great testimonial kind of a thing. And she was saying, on top of, being out of pain and, having the function back and the strength back in her hands, she also had a different outlook on life. And she was like, I can't believe that, for the past 25, 30 years, I've been suffering with this, right? Trying everything under the sun. And I've been so miserable that I've been literally a bitch to my family, and I can't believe that they put up with me. I even went to my son-in-law and was like, hey, have I been a bitch this entire time? And he's like, I'm not going to answer that, but she understood, and she was able to look back and say, hey, this was not only affecting me physically, it was affecting me emotionally too, and that's how these hardcore conditions are, like my glaucoma, etc. That can affect you mentally. So there's not just a physical, but there's a mental aspect that gets relieved when you have proper supplementation and proper diet. And it's so worth it. I mean, it's life-changing. It was life-changing for her, and it still is, right? So Shirley is another woman, amazing woman. She's like somewhere back east or in the South, in the United States. And she was referred to us by another client who also had arthritis. I'm not sure what kind of arthritis she had, but Shirley had rheumatoid arthritis, and she was saying, hey, I have, these symptoms, etc., and I've tried everything. And she's, in her 60s, I believe, at that time. And she was like, I've tried everything. I've even tried CBD, and your CBD came very recommended, whatever. So I put her on a protocol, and shortly after, like about a month later, she checked in with me to see if she needed to adjust her protocol and everything. And she was like, hey, this is amazing. She said, gave me the good testimonial and everything. And the key thing from that, she, had amazing results. It changed her life. She's still purchasing, etc. And still just whenever I speak with her on the phone, it's just like such a sweetheart, and always thanks me for the product and says, never change it, never change your formula, etc. But she told me this a couple months ago, something I hadn't found out about, and it's super cool. She said that she had tried 6 different CBD brands. 6 different CBD brands before she tried ours. And so we were the 7th one, and the 7th one was her lucky charm. And she said that myfitlife is her lucky charm. It changed her life. So, like we said, previously, the results that you can get from simply changing, your diet and doing proper supplementation and the proper amounts, it's literally life-changing, the benefits that can be had, So that really concludes this episode of The Truth About CBD and Rheumatoid Arthritis. And can CBD help with RA? And yes, definitely it can. Along with other cofactors, it's even more amazing. And when you change your diet, then the results can be off the chart. So remember to check out our online CBD store at myfitlife.net. Contact us if you have questions or need assistance choosing the right CBD product for your situation. And remember, knowledge is power and health is wealth. This is Al Morenton with MyFitLife and CBD 101. Thank you, and have a beautiful day. Peace.